The wisdom literature in the Bible, that's Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, Song of Solomon, 5 books. And in the Apocrypha, there's a few other books like the Wisdom of Solomon and so on. But the wisdom literature in the Old Testament is what are amongst the least read books in the whole Bible, with the exception of Proverbs, because a lot of people read a proverb a day, and with the exception of Psalms. Not all of the book of Psalms, just the favorite Psalms. But apart from that, the rest of the wisdom literature is the least read and the most misunderstood. My name is Martin Trench. If you don't know me, I'm a spiritual teacher, a speaker, author, and coach. You can find out more about me and my school community on martintrench.com. You know, one of the reasons that the wisdom literature in the Bible is so misunderstood is because I think a lot of Christians, especially evangelicals, have been taught to treat everything they read in the Bible as history and as historically accurate and infallibly accurate. And so Christians don't know what to do when they read allegories. Somebody said to me recently when I mentioned, the prodigal son didn't really exist, and neither did the Good Samaritan. They're parables. They said, whoa, wait a minute. I thought they were true stories that Jesus told. No, they were parables. They were made up stories to teach a point that Jesus was trying to make. And much of the wisdom literature is also like that. It is not history. It's wisdom stories. And so we don't know what to do when we discover that actually the book of Job is an allegory. I've seen Christians spending hours trying to prove that Job was a real historical character and God and Satan really did play a game of chess with him up in heaven, and they tried to find where in history he might have lived. But it's an allegory, okay? And it's meant to teach us lessons of wisdom. Another example that a lot of Christians can't handle, especially those brought up in purity culture, fundamentalism, is the fact that you ask people, what's the Song of Solomon about? Oh, it's about King Solomon marrying his wife. No, it's not. It's not a song about Solomon. It's not a song written by Solomon. It was a song for Solomon that was probably sung at one of his many, many, many weddings. And it's not about Solomon. It's about two lovers, unmarried lovers. A peasant girl who works in the fields during the day and lives at home with her mother and brothers. Seems her father might be dead, but she lives at home with her mother and her brothers. And she has to sneak out of the house to go and visit her lover. That just doesn't work for people who have been brought up in fundamentalism and in purity culture, and they don't know what to do with it, how to handle it. Let me give you just a little helpful hint about the wisdom literature, the 5 books. The book of Proverbs, its basic message is, life makes sense if you make wise decisions. Then the book of Job pops in and says, what about those times that life doesn't make sense? What if there's things going on that we are unaware of, and that's why life doesn't always make sense to us? The book of Ecclesiastes. What if life is not supposed to make sense? What if life is a mystery to be experienced rather than to be understood and figured out? Song of Solomon. Sometimes love is all we need for life to be meaningful and happy. The book of Psalms. Whatever you're going through, love or breakups, successes or victories, good times or bad times, always open up to God and look to him for his guidance. So we're going to be talking a lot about the wisdom literature in my school community. which you can find out more about on martintrench.com. If you're interested in finding out what these books are actually about and how they apply to our life today, then join me there. I hope to see you soon.